It is at 6 p.m. in Mamfe, chief town of the Manu Division, Southwest region of Cameroon. You are welcome to the primetime newscast on Equinox television. We are live from Equinox Central News Desk, that is in Douala, Cameroon. Thanks for joining us. It is getting hot and hotter in Yaoundé, precisely at the major national dialogue venue, as Cameroonians and participants are discussing a new Cameroon in an atmosphere likened to the exchange of blows. Federalists or some participants have continued to push that federalism should be discussed. They say federalism is the only way out of the current crisis in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. We'll give you a tense atmosphere in this edition of the news. Sanova in Bonaberi in the Douala 4 municipality, over 21 persons have been severely injured and 3 persons killed in an accident in the late hours of yesterday. More in the minutes ahead. Thanks for trusting Equinox television. As far as news is concerned, you have actually taken the right decision. We begin with human interest story. An accident that has left 3 persons dead and over 21 others severely injured. The accident took place in the Bonaberi neighborhood of the city of Douala. That's in the Douala 4 municipality. Emine Luga tells us more.
The ghastly accident occurred around the double stretch of road in Bonaberi, Douala 4 Kanto area. It was a collision between a truck and a bus traveler. On the spot, approximately 3 persons are reported dead. Meanwhile, a handful of other road users were entrapped and left wounded on the same site. Eyewitness account here reiterate what characterized the incident.
He was running on the other side and we are finding him at the other side. It means that he almost lost control because of too much speed. That middle road, for the way don't fix that road. Well, that camion, now that back camion, don't take the another one before you go for a different side. One guy with one camion driver in a motorman. You don't die for it one time. Don't die. The car am to go. The car that cover to go. Plenty of people that don't get wound.
It is reported that the passengers in the little bus were heading out of town to a burial ceremony while the truck was making its way into Douala. A poor steering manipulation by the truck driver is then said to be the cause of the accident, as it swept with its tail the vehicle traveling bus, leading to the ghastly accident. The mortal remains have been laid at the Bonasama mortuary, while the wounded passengers and other victims are on medical surveillance in same hospital.
Inhabitants of Buda, chief town of the Bambutus division, west region of Cameroon, cannot breathe a sigh of relief after 3 alleged bandits said to be behind the terrorizing of Buda and other parts of the Bambutus division have been apprehended. They were apprehended by elements of the Buda Gendarmerie Brigade. Smadji Kangebe tells us more.
From a distant view, one will think it is the triumphant entry of a champion or a senior state official into the town of Buda. But no, it is another successful operation that has been done by the elements of the gendarmerie of the town that caused ecstasy amongst the inhabitants and commercial bike riders. These 3 alleged bandits were arrested at a hidden residence at Bamisinghe, precisely at Yam Market. Inhabitants of Bamisinghe have been going through a sleepless night as a result of their actions. Their arrest by the commander, Lachile Sebastien, was the reason for the jubilation. One of the alleged bandits, however, refuted the allegations on him. It was Gires who gave me these guns. He told me they belonged to his late father. As a friend in the village, he gave me to go and repair them. When asked if he had ever stolen, his response was no. According to him, when his friend steals, he is the one who sells the items.
No, lui, quand il a quelque chose, il me paye, je viens prendre pour.
All three alleged bandits are ex-convicts and the law will take its course.
Have you heard of General Kill and Destroy? And of course, some key elements of the army, that is the Ambazonian camps within the FACO division. Some of them, like this person I just called, that is a General Destroy, and some of his people, like EQUINOXE, were presented today in Yaoundé. They were presented by the spokesperson of the Major National Dialogue, George Ewane, during a press conference. They were presented of having dropped their arms, decided to answer the call of the president of Cameroon. They equally indicated that they are representing fighters of the FACO division. More in this excerpt of George Ewane.
I'm particularly pleased to announce that we are already beginning to witness the first outcomes of this landmark event. As a matter of fact, in addition to the 30 ex-combatants and 5 repentants who were presented at the official opening ceremony, 5 new armed secessionists have answered favorably to the head of state's offer of peace. I want to indicate to you that they are here with us to take part in the major national dialogue. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, there are names that are known of very renowned generals, secessionist camp, on the field. They come from the FACO area, they come from the Tico area, and from around my 16 area. I will introduce them to you, one after the other. We have first General Capture and Destroy. This is General Capture and Destroy. You know, you can stand here, the press can see. Number 2, we have Commander Pussy. No, they will stand, you can stand. Commander Pussy. You have number 3, Ezemo, who is the custodian of their shrine. You have No Mercy. Mercy is M-E-R-C-Y. In French, we say sans pitié, right? Finally, Commander Champion. Have enough time to have their pictures, okay? So let them be. Now, these ex-combatants will join their brothers who, as I speak to you now, are actively participating in committee works. Since the resumption of the discussions this morning, the participants have been working in complete serenity. The freedom of tone and frankness that characterize the exchanges do not make participants lose sight of the fact that the sole and only objective is to restore peace and tranquility in the northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroon. Also, through my voice, the president of the Major National Dialogue, Chief Dr. Joseph John Ngute, hereby renews the call to all the kinetic and constructive forces of our nation beyond this forum.
Those presented were rather General Capture and Destroy, Ezemo, General, that is Commander Pussy, and No Mercy, as well as another commander, that is Commander Pussy. And of course, they were presented by George Ewane, a spokesperson of the Major National Dialogue taking place in Yaoundé. And one of them had the opportunity to address men and women of the press. He spoke, saying he was speaking on behalf of the Ambazonian fighters within his area. Listen to him in the following excerpt.
My names are Capture and Destroy, 1st Brigade Commander of FACO, the People's Army, commonly called the Ambazonian Army. I am here to participate on behalf of the generals and commanders of FACO for the peaceful dialogue called up by the head of states and Cameroonians of goodwill.
Most of the participants, at least those who spoke with Equinox television special envoy to Yaoundé, have expressed the necessity for federalism to be taken as option that, according to them, will see a solution to the crisis in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. They have, however, continued to push that federalism be discussed, and not only discussed but adopted, so they can find a lasting solution to the crisis. But it appears the chances for federalism to equally find its way out of the major national dialogue are even complicated. We earlier first of all spoke with Dr. Nick Gwanyam, who explained that the commissions put in place did not, from their readings, give space or way for federalism to be discussed.
There is no commission here that is discussing the form of the state. It looks like that one was off the table. But the only thing that comes close to discussing the form of the state is actually the commission that is dealing with decentralization, and it has been well defined in there, and it looks like you cannot really go out of it. So technically, there is no commission dealing with the form of the state, so to speak. Because if there was a commission dealing with that, then they will have to examine all the different possibilities of the form of the state. So people who are federalists or confederalists like me, well, I hear that they've gone to the commission and they're kind of like just forcing that through. But technically, if they were going by the spirit of the letter that is given to them, the form of the state doesn't exist, and it will look like federalism is off. The form of the state, in fact, if we are squarely address the form of the state, discuss even the federalism on the table, discuss even the confederation, and refuse it afterwards, it will still be something that people would have expressed their minds and said what exactly they wanted. And then if it's not accepted, that would be another thing. But just to not want to address it is a whole issue, and it causes that it creates a situation where, you know, the anger continues and so on. Because if the form of the state were clear, then people would know how to fit in the content and it will be okay.
Dr. Nick Gwanyam, a renowned name in Cameroon, is not the only person seeing things from that angle. People like Barrister Agbo Bala, Barrister Mba of the SDF party, and even the entire Social Democratic Front party, chiefs of the FACO division, have insisted that federalism must be discussed. It is, according to them, the only way out of the crisis. They say decentralization in whatever form has failed Cameroon for many years. Agbo Bala, who had the opportunity to be part of the commission to discuss decentralization, which, according to Dr. Nim Gwanyam, comes closer to discussions on the form of state, could not miss the opportunity to insist that federalism be discussed on the table, even in a very difficult condition. We had Agbo Bala in this amateur camera.
To please some people, but I don't want us to waste taxpayers' money. Next year, the president calls us for another dialogue. We need to find lasting solution. And like Dr. Munzu said yesterday, I am not prescribing any particular form of a state. But we cannot live here without looking at the form of the state. As I sit here, if I show you my messages from some of the separatist leaders abroad, have they started talking even about the form of the state? Some of us have put our reputation and our image on the line to be here. If you follow social media, they attack some of us just for coming here. But we believe in the oneness and the unity of this country. We believe that Cameroon should be one. We believe that Cameroon should be one and indivisible. But we equally believe that decentralization would not solve the problem. We have to get to a federation. That is the minimum the people who have taken up arms would accept. If we don't, Mr. Minister, if we don't address those issues, Mr. Minister, if we don't address those issues, I am afraid, I see my senator from Boya seated by you, and I think he knows this also. I'm afraid that we would leave here.
The heat there in different commissions in Yaoundé, particularly the case of the commission to discuss federalism, rather decentralization and governance, and federalists have been persistent and equally insisting that federalism must be discussed. They see it as the only way out of the crisis in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. And another participant, Ngala Gerard, who is equally an elite of the northwest region of Cameroon and a member of the ruling CPTM party, says it is an opportunity equally for them to see the necessity of convincing their fellow brothers and sisters in bushes to drop their arms, and equally he hopes that whatever is being discussed should be convincing enough to see these brothers get out of the bushes. We spoke to him early today. Listen to him in the following excerpt.
Just know that I've been against the youth picking up arms. I've been against the dying, the killing of the youth. I've been advocating for that because I don't like bloodshed. That is why you see I try to maintain a level of peace in my area, and I want that peace should go to other areas because I don't want to see my brothers being killed. That is why I was sent as a vice president of the disarmament committee, a commission, where we sat down yesterday, created 3 disarmament commission, the demobilization commission, and the reintegration commission, to look at ways which those boys can live from the bushes, the time frame that they have to spend at the DRS centers, because one thing which they don't like is spending too much time at those centers. So we want to create a specific time frame for them to leave the bush, to spend at the DRS center, and then get into society. And what do I mean by this? We want them to, once at the DRS centers, those who want to get jobs for them. Those who want to go to school, we assess them and get them to school, look for schools for them. And those who want to do a petty trade, we assist them to start a petty trade. And for those who want to do training, we send them to vocational centers. So we have been talking about this so that we bring all these proposals and forward to our hierarchy. Because the boys told us that while the conditions are favorable, their friends who are in the bushes are ready to come out because they want to see what has been done to them. That is why we have to show an example to those who have left the bush already and are in the area centers. I've told my president that we don't have to keep them there for long. We have to make sure that they are given something or they do something. And the other thing we have to make sure is that most of them have caused a lot of atrocities in their communities. How do we create that relationship between them and their communities such that if they want to go back into their communities, they don't face any impunity from those in those communities? Those are the things that we are trying to look at. And I want to plead with my brothers who are still in the bushes that the conditions are favorable. And this dialogue is frank. You have persons from all walks of life, from all political parties, civil societies who are there to bring up proposals. So the way the dialogue is going, I'm very optimistic, and I know that the President of the Republic, who is the father of the nation, is ready to solve the problem. He is ready to bring the conditions to normal, and we want peace to return to Northwest and Southwest.
And administrative authorities, traditional rulers and religious leaders within the Donga Mountain Division of one of the conflict-hit region, that is the northwest region of Cameroon, have expressed the wish for peace to return in their locality. They were speaking recently in a symposium organized in Akambe. More in the following report.
Amidst the worsening effects of the Anglophone crisis, administrative, religious authorities, traditional rulers, men, women and youth of the Donga Mountain Division in the Northwest region believe that peace building remains the key mechanism to prevent conflict, antagonism or violence. They are witnesses to the enormous material and human loss by their community to the socio-political crisis rocking the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon, and could not hesitate to be part of the African Justice for Peace Association with the UN Development Program to promote peace building in Donga Mountain.
It offered us the opportunity to awaken the consciences of our populations, some of whom had already been taken over by the protracted socio-political crisis rocking the northwest and southwest regions.
AJA and the United Nations Development Programme believe it is strategic and necessary to promote social and economic cohesion in the division and other parts of the northwest and southwest regions now that the people need it most.
This should be extended to division or subdivision because it is very important to create awareness, more especially this time that we need peace.
We have a lot to do in Membe, that's Ako subdivision, especially my village Berabe. Was a lot of difficult. For now, I am displaced in Kambe Palace with my family members for 10 months today. My palace has been burned down. My residence in Ako subdivision has been burned down. My property and everything of my family members.
It is our hope the whole of Donga Monsoon still needs peace and such programs like this, so that the other areas like Ako, Ndu, and Wa will also be included.
Grateful for the efforts of community leaders and the UNDP, CEO Abanda Marcel of AJA outlined that they will continue to strengthen interaction and engagement between leadership, confessional groups and community leaders.
We equally have some serious activities in Cambe and Mr. J equally where the pilot phase of the economic and social economic empowerment of this project is taking place. So this project started in July and will be ending in March 2020, which aims at restoring peace in the division.
The implementation phase also includes the involvement of media personnel, education stakeholders to foster intercultural dialogue and develop alternative mechanisms to conflict, as well as involve local mediators in a division which before the Anglophone crisis suffered farmer-grazier problem and intertribal conflicts.
And on to economic news, enterprises in Cameroon are being upgraded to survive even in a very competitive world, gaining eligibility from an upgraded platform, that is the BMN platform. These enterprises stand to benefit fruits of competition everywhere around the world. 3 enterprises have since 2014 benefited from the national program, as reported by EQUINOXE.
Today, many world countries have their borders opened to facilitate trade and other transactions, thereby raising competition, which favors nations with competitive power. Less developed countries with less competitive power, due to weak enterprises, are relegated and unable to benefit the fruits of competition. Cameroon, being one of such countries, dreams to have the competitive power in order to benefit from competing nations. Reason why the government, through the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of the Economy, Planning and Regional Development, decided to mold competitive capacity by encouraging a National Revival Forum, BMN, to build capacity of Cameroonian enterprises so that they attain eligibility to compete with foreign enterprises. To gain fortified capacities from the BMN, the enterprises must be well organized.
We want the responsible,
transparent and existing for at least 2 years.
Enterprise created 2 years ago.
These enterprises could either benefit from the BMN's global or specific assistance, entailing they must have a capital of 50 million francs CFA and 35 million francs CFA respectively.
Of 35 million if it is a specific upgrading, or if it is a global upgrading, you have to show that you have a capital of 50 million francs CFA.
The BMN, pillar of Cameroon's enterprises, was created in 2011 and went operational 3 years after, that is in 2014, with objective to transform Cameroon's weak enterprises to strong ones, which will be capable to stand competition. So far, 3 companies have benefited from this program.
That's it for the first part. Up next is Talking Point. On Talking Point today, we are taking you on a special interview granted to some chiefs from the FACO division. of the Southwest region of Cameroon, they, like other federalists and opposition political party leaders, have insisted on the necessity for federalism to come out of the ongoing major national dialogue in Yaoundé.
If we are not honest to ourselves, I think this dialogue will lead us to nowhere. And there's no Cameroonian who can boast to say he doesn't know what is happening. We all know the remote cause of this problem. When today we sit in a hall and in a room, people still talk about decentralization, we know for how many 23 years today he has healed no fruits. What is the meaning of that? Then how do we intend to solve this problem? We think that we should talk about federalism, and we don't know why some people are afraid of that language, federalism. I don't know why they are afraid of it. That is what we intend to, and that is what can help us. Because this United States of America is a federal state management system. Even Nigeria, close to us here, is a federal state system which they do manage. And those are successful nations. But we don't want to talk about it. We keep on talking about decentralization. What is the meaning of that? It means we are not ready to help ourselves. And honestly, I remember when we were in the last consultative dialogue in Boya, when the Bishop of Kumba said, if we don't ensure that this dialogue takes the right track, then what is coming ahead of us will be very heavier than this one.
We recall that the FACO chiefs had earlier asked for a 10-state federal system. What is the right?
The difficulties we know these people are facing. Let's get into that. Let's get into that. Let's try federalism. Maybe this one is not moving. Let's try the other way out. Let me tell you honestly, if it is imposed to the Cameroonians, this issue should not be only an issue for when we talk about Northwest and Southwest. So many Cameroonians are not very comfortable with the system. Even if it is imposed, I want to assure you that it will not take us a long way. Decentralization will not take us a long way. And to be honest to us, there are people who need to tell the head of state the truth of what is happening. And because we are people we have here who are only for their interests, their offices, and because they want appointment. Let me tell you clearly, my brother. We have gone through a lot. I'm talking as somebody from the grassroots. They could call it ground zero today. People cannot sit in here and be telling, brandishing this. No. The head of state should use his wisdom and have a rethink about the situation. We are talking of this federalism.
Discussions are going on at the level of the different commissions, and you are part of the commission taking care of issues concerning the IDPs and the hundreds of thousands who have been displaced and are now refugees in neighboring Nigeria. What has been going on at that commission? What has been said this far?
Yeah, thank you very much. The chairman, Cardinal Tumi, Lordship, opened it officially, and we are all there. But what we did not find very comfortable is that when one of the ministers, who is the resource persons, stood up and said, we only have one thing to answer: how did they come in? How do you tell me how do they come back home? How do people go back in their homes when there is no peace? Let's see how we can negotiate, get a list, census, and they see what they can do to them. That is not the truth. Yes, we agree that there are other committees which are responsible for that, but we have to start from somewhere. Peace must reign. We need to ensure that peace reigns. If peace does not reign, how do children go back to school? How do the chiefs get back to their palace? How do people take their families back to their various villages? With all these things need to be taken into consideration. And if the commission sits and says you are only limited to say this, you are limited, I don't see the reason of the commission. I don't see it. To be honest, I don't see it.
President of the FACO Chiefs Conference, what are your expectations as far as this major national dialogue is concerned?
We have a lot of expectation, and I've been optimistic that it will go through and will be successful. But what we want is that the people concerned to understand our position, because it's what we are the people feeling these pains. I don't see how somebody does not know to talk about agriculture and cocoa farms. He wants to come and educate somebody or solve somebody's problem who has a cocoa farm problem. We are the people in the field who know what we are feeling. We are expecting that the head of state should take it into full consideration that the people of the Southwest and Northwest need to be touched closely and know what is their problem and see how this problem can be solved for us not to come into it for tomorrow. If we come here, we brandish all what we are brandishing, we go back, there is no solution. Then what have we done? What have we done? Let's not be fooling ourselves. The head of state should give us that federalism. Let him give it to us. That is a true story. If he does this one, the next day you see people come, leaving the bush, coming to their houses. You see people leaving their villages, going back to, leaving the city, going back to their villages, because it will create some certain level of confidence and trust. Because what we want now is that everyone, any region wants to have that capacity to contribute in the management of his resources, his development, economics, and otherwise. That is the problem we want for today.
And the issue of federalism, which you're talking about, would be on the table in the Commission on Decentralization and Local Development. Some of your chiefs, some of the chiefs of the FACO division from the Southwest, part of this commission?
We have representative there. Following our last meeting yesterday, we were advised that anybody who is representing us in any of the committees to do his best to give us the full contribution to protect the interests of the people who are crying. We are not just.
And of course, that was one of the chiefs of the FACO division of the Southwest region. They insisting that only federalism can end the war in the Northwest and Southwest regions of Cameroon. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for your very kind attention. It is with that element that we put an end to this edition of the news. Stay in the company of Equinox Television. We wish you, however, a blessed stay.